Our story begins with the evil wizard Babidi creating another Majin Buu from the one he already has. He's just about to finish it when the Supreme Kai seals away Majin Buu, forcing Babidi to send his creation into space secretively before he's killed. Our story then skips ahead to the Namek saga, where Bulma and the group are traveling to Namek when all of a sudden something hits their ship as they land. They get out to investigate and discover it's a blue blob of some sort. But they have no time to process this since Frieza's soldiers have spotted them. Then all of a sudden the blob forms and begins to beat on the Frieza soldiers with no trouble at all, impressing the group until that is when Zarbon and Doria are on the scene and are ready to attack the group, but are quickly dispatched by the blob. Krillin gets the idea to help out, using a solar flare technique to blind them both. With their foes temporarily blind, they take the opportunity to attack. With the blob creature's help, they manage to kill Zarbon and Doria with ease. They then ask the creature to join them on their quest to get the Dragon Balls, which comes in handy when they come face to face with Prince Vegeta again, who is taken aback by the creature as he's not seen a creature like this in his entire life. He's even taken more aback when the creature begins to pummel him with ease, with him barely landing any attacks on him, leaving the prince stunned and injured, and eventually forced to collapse to the ground from exhaustion. The group then decides on what to do with him, but are interrupted when they see the Ginyu Force arrive on the scene. At first, the creature had trouble with Goldo's time stop, but eventually overwhelmed him to the point that he killed him. This is when Recoome stepped in to take on the blob creature, thinking it would be easy. Oh, how wrong he was, as the creature showed that he could mimic certain moves he's seen, as he does it with Vegeta's Gallic gun. At this point, Vegeta awakens to see this. Recoome is defeated. Gohan then jumps in, fighting off Burter, leaving Krillin to fight off Jace with a blast. Unfortunately, he blocks it and begins to show up Krillin by beating him to a pulp, making Krillin injured even more. Krillin is about to face his doom when all of a sudden Vegeta charges at Burter and immediately kills him, which catches Jace off guard and forces him to be off guard when Gohan goes in for an attack. Unfortunately, Captain Ginyu arrives and stops Gohan before he can do anything to the last members of the Ginyu Force. They stand there ready to face the new group when all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Goku has arrived on the scene. Thinking that this could be trouble, Ginyu decides to swap bodies with Goku, thinking that he's the strongest there. However, the blob creature hits Jace hard enough to send him flying, and he lands directly in the path of the change beam, and Ginyu is forced to swap bodies with Jace, leaving both completely shocked and flabbergasted. Then Vegeta decides to take the opportunity to kill Ginyu, and the blob creature takes his opportunity to kill Jace. But that is when Frieza has arrived and begins to lay down the smack onto Vegeta, even worse than what he had gotten from the blob creature. Speaking of the blob creature, it began to beat on Frieza senseless, making him look powerless in comparison. Frieza began to boil with anger, as he had never been humiliated this much before. Frieza decides to not fool around anymore and goes straight to his second form, which the creature beats no problem. He then decides to go to his third form, which doesn't land him anywhere else, which forces him to go into his final form, hoping this will give him the edge to finally beat him. Unfortunately, the Blob has no sway and keeps beating on him, forcing Frieza to do something drastic. Frieza fires a death beam, hoping to kill at least one of these pests. The beam was heading straight for Gohan, but Krillin pushed him out of the way and took the hit. The beam went right through his skull, killing him instantly. The group stared in horror, except for Goku, who began trembling with anger. Vegeta and Gohan looked over and saw as Goku transformed into a Super Saiyan. The blob creature, however, was still staring at Krillin, and steam began to come out of his top of his head. The group watched as Goku began to pummel Frieza to a pulp, giving the tyrant many injuries across his body. But then Vegeta and Gohan look over and see the blob creature has shrunken down to a small size. Confused, they look closer. The blob creature then rears his head up, screaming, ready for a fight. And that is where we end things for right now.